Warning: long read and rant but crazy true story of a messy love triangle and both cheated being blindsided. Looking to understand. This happened over a period of 1.5 to 2 years. I wanted to understand what happened. Is this guy a narc? Was I a rebound relationship? Help me understand some context to help illustrate. Mind you, I didn't know all the details in certain moments when it happened, but this is what I can piece together. Me 28 female had gotten out of a 4-year relationship 2 months before meeting my ex, introduced in next paragraph. Dated him over pity rather than love and should have broke it off sooner. Great on paper, but no real attraction. I didn't have the heart to break up with him since he was going through depression, unemployment, family had cancer. Met my ex in November 2018. Met the dream requirements I wanted in a man, minus height. Timing was my issue in meeting him. I'm an ISFJ. Ex-34 male had a son from a previous 11-year relationship. He was severely depressed after having to move away from his family 6 years ago and return to our city after his common-law relationship failed. Moved back to his hometown in April 2018. Classic ESTP. Briefly dated his best friend 32 female of 15 years for 2 months rebounding off his failed common-law relationship. Extremely hardworking, clever, charming, attractive guy. Other girl 36 female, long-time decade friend of ex. She dated his close friend of 15 years 40 male for about 6 years before they had broken up. They remained close after the breakup since they were friends for 20 years. I believe they broke up in early 2018. She talked to the ex's baby mama every day. Flew to visit him in his new city once, watched his son grow up. I think she's either an ENFJ/ANFP. Not that it matters though, but could help with the decisions made. Started seeing my ex summer of June 2018. Didn't know what she wanted in a relationship, and when ex wanted to make things official, she said, "Isn't what we have enough?" He felt hurt and betrayed by what he believed were her lies, and held on to this grudge in my relationship, which I was unaware of. When I first met my ex, it was on our way to a club. We met at our mutual friend's apartment where he caught my eye. He thought I was with another guy at the apartment, but he was just a friend. He didn't want to intervene, but when he found out I wasn't with him, he approached me. We ended up dancing, making out. We really hit it off that night. He mentioned to me that night that he looked to date long-term, one girl at a time, and that he had a kid, and before anything could happen between us if I was okay with it. It didn't matter to me, and I thought in mentioning it revealed how serious he was. Asked my mutual friend what he's like, and she said he was a great guy, just a lot of baggage, but tried dating him to see where it goes. My mutual friend is married to one of his male best friends. He ended up back at my place, hungover the next day, and I had to take care of him. He really appreciated my care and expressed how thankful he was. Soon after, he was very grand in gestures to take care of me, offering me car rides every time, asking to assist with any task I mentioned. He had all the traits I looked for in a person. For me, he was someone who balanced out my introverted side, his sense of adventure, spontaneity, being direct, and not being afraid to speak up when something wasn't right. I told myself the next time I fall for someone, I wouldn't settle. It would be someone I found super attractive, had valued honesty, fun, willing to communicate, compromise, and commit. My concerned friends knew I recently came out of my previous relationship and questioned if I was ready to date seriously. I thought I was new where my mentality was at, but I can see their point of view and decided that maybe I didn't need a relationship and to work on myself. I ended up cutting it off with the guys I was casually seeing on dates, but nothing serious. My ex also voiced that if I was seeing other people to either pause, stop, or continue since he's been burned in the past, likely from other girl. So, I also ended up cutting it off with my ex to work on myself, in which he was heartbroken to hear. Since he was someone I was so drawn to and found it so rare to find it, I decided that maybe that was a mistake and gave him a chance for a date. It was an amazing date. I did learn about his life and the baggage, but he wouldn't be the person he is today without his experiences. Nonetheless, I felt this internal fight like I went against my values and wanted to make sure I was happy with myself as a person before dating, because I had ruined my relationship with my first love not being ready with my insecurity. I tried to cut him off. He tried to be friends with me immediately. I wanted space because I thought it didn't make sense, but I didn't want to lose him in my life. We ended up keeping in touch, but then I cut him off. And this would go on for a few months because we would end up hooking up. Or I would propose FWB, and he would accept, only to act all sweet and relationship-like. Eventually, March 2019, I decided I had worked enough on myself, achieved some goals I desired, and it had been 6 months after my last relationship and wanted to give him a shot. Our relationship took off and we were official by April 2019. Life was great. My career was skyrocketing. He finally landed permanent full-time at his job, and everything seemed to align. We were in the honeymoon stage, so I thought. June 2019, he had a major billiards tournament where I finally met girl, 36. What I was told from him was that she was his friend's girlfriend, the one of 6 years. He never told me they had broken up, and so I always thought she was still with her ex because all of them played on the same billiards team. They didn't act like a couple, but they were still best friends. I could tell she was a friendly, outgoing person by her interactions with others. When she first saw me, I was faced with a glare and she never said a word, and I was never formally introduced. They ended up winning this billiards tournament for a trip to abroad. The rest of his teammates encouraged me to come out and support. My relationship with my ex seemed great. My family loved him. My friends thought he was smitten with me. He was chivalrous and took very good care of me. Could not stay away from me. Showered me with expensive gifts. Told me how he couldn't wait to move in with me. He was so excited to introduce me to his family and friends. He called me and sent loving texts every day. Couldn't wait to say he loved me. We solved conflicts in a civil adult manner, and if anything bothered me, he'd read me and encouraged me to open up. I thought it was exactly what I needed. We spent countless of hours and days together. This is the second time I've ever fallen so deeply in love. I thought this was it. August 2019 was when the tournament abroad happened, and I had joined them on their trip. They lost the tournament. He and I did enjoy the free time we had during our trip, but around the group he would say they weren't comfortable with our PDA, which he always initiated. He accused me of being insecure when I noticed his interactions with the other girl by saying you and girl seemed really close. The other woman was nicer to me than the first time we met. She's a nice person and we bonded over university experiences. Upon returning to our city, he told me that we should take a break. I didn't understand. Everything was going well. He said when he returned back to our city, he became a monster. He said he was suffering depression. I wanted to work things out together with him because I didn't believe in breaks. I told him we either work it out or break up. So we decided to work it out. I would give him space to sort out his feelings. Eventually, he called for a full break. I researched depression and let it be on his terms, sending out supportive texts to say I'm always here if you need anyone to listen, not judging and just lending an ear. To this day, I can't figure if the depression was real at this time or not. He wouldn't necessarily take the break seriously. He would call a couple days to ask how I was doing and feel upset that I was sick and didn't tell him. He would message every so often to see how I was doing. I thought this was him recovering and that he loved me so much that he could fight this battle. A month and a half later, he called the break off. He told me that he never wanted to lose me ever again. We were happy and relived that honeymoon feelings. A month later, November 2019, I surprised him at his house since he gave me a copy of his keys. To my surprise, he didn't look excited and called for another break. By that point, I was irritated, and if he decided to call a break once more, I would have broken up with him. It was by Deck 2019 where he told me his relationship with his son was terrible since he had been neglecting him. It wasn't my job to tell him how to parent, but I would ask if he had spoken to his son, and he would tell me he plays games with him once a week. There have been different time zones too. I wouldn't want to pressure him to talk about his son or anything about the future since it wasn't my place. I waited until he was comfortable to share, and when he was, I'd mention it. He ultimately told me he didn't see a future with me anymore, and I said, well, if that's the case, I don't see a point in continuing. So we broke it off. I was confused if it was his depression doing this because the week before that we were so happy. January 2020, he reached out to me, told me that he thinks that his decision that he made may not be the right one, and that he still had really strong feelings for me. He needed to sort things out. I thought this was his depression and his relationship with his son because his son should be a priority. I thought he was suffering, so I asked his best friend, 32, M, that he worked with to keep an eye out for him when the break first started as he had depression before. His best friend would tell me I'm a great girl and he's being stupid and prideful. When he heard about our breakup, I would see if he knew what was going on, but he was a loyal friend and said if I wanted answers to reach out to my ex directly. I felt bad for always asking, so I decided to ask about how he was doing. He ended up talking to me very frequently, and his best friend eventually confessed his feelings for me. My ex found out and was upset and ramped up communications with me. He had told me his friendship with his best friend was rocky, but they would be okay. In the meantime, he had given his best friend the green light to pursue me. Eventually, as my communication... The next day, he tries to call me and I ignore him. A few days after, he blows up my phone, but I had his number blocked. He's called about 12 times throughout the day. Curiosity gets to the best of me and I answer to see what he wanted. He tells me eating isn't the same without me. Gaming isn't the same. He has no motivation to do anything. I question, didn't you say you lost feelings for me? But he says he didn't know because pushed it so far down. He's blocked her and risking it all even though his chances with me are slim to none. I fall for his sappy words and tell him I need time. He reluctantly obliges. Couple days he blows up my phone again and I don't answer until this final call. He says, don't want to talk to me. And I mentioned that I needed time. My final answer was that I wouldn't take him back because he wouldn't learn anything. As much as I cared, I wanted someone worthy that I deserve. Someone who is on the same page as me in life, financially, goals, family, etc. He agreed and said, you're right. You do deserve better, so I will move up in the company and make 6 figures to give you the life you deserve. We stop talking and then calls me to tell me not be alarmed, but he's blocking me because he is so tempted to talk to me and call me every day. Then he calls a few days later repeatedly to ask if we can unblock each other because he can't stand not talking to me but want to remain friends. I enjoy his company, but he continues to flirt with me. Also, when I hear his phone go off while we're gaming, I get thoughts of betrayal if he's still talking to her. I decide that if I want things to be different, we need to go no contact and reevaluate, is this something we both even want later? He's upset but agrees. During no contact, I see this game he's always wanted for free and send him an email since he's blocked me on every single social media/phone. And at this point, this is how we're communicating. At this point, I felt my life was better away from him. Things were less toxic. I was killing at work, and my friends were back in my life. I think I had lost feelings by then and were 1 week away. He replies in the email saying that gaming was fun, but honestly, I don't feel the same anymore. So I'm like, sure, gin my closure talk and we'll part ways. I get a text from the other girl who asked if I want to talk. I'm shocked, but agree. We talk on the phone for 5 hours to align our stories. Turns out, he was dating us simultaneously the entire time except when I met him in November. Shortly afterwards, once I had cut him off, she wanted him back and he started seeing the both of us, sleeping over at her in my place. When he was made it official with me, he was still talking to her. When they got into a fight, bringing me to the pool tournament was to send a message to her that they were done. However, he told her I wasn't his girlfriend, just a friend, and so she tried to show him that she wanted him. He would constantly lie to her and say he doesn't have any feelings for me and that I was trying hard to win him back, even though he treated me like shit. All the sweet lines he used with me, he used with her. Even the lines about his phone issues, being sick, his son, depression, recycled content. We were shocked. She and I found each other to be more similar than we thought and created a bond. She was still seeing him whereas I was cutting him off. In my closure talk with him, he told me that he needs to get rid of his fuckboy status. And once everything is good, he saw me as his future wife status because no matter what, we have a special place in each other's life, even if it's not right now. I started falling for it again. Then, I had told her what he had told me, and she said on the phone he said to her, "Once this is over, let's move in together." I snapped back into our plan. She kept falling for his words, spent the weekend and wanting to believe everything he was saying was so genuine. I decided to show her that what he's doing is continuing to lie. I pretended to want him back to see what he'd do. So we video called for what he believed was our closure talk. I told him, "What if I wanted another chance? Why didn't you fight for it?" And he thought he didn't have a shot because I didn't give him that option. When I did, he took it. I told her that he fell for it. He started flirting with me and telling me how he missed me and how cute I was. I wanted to save her from his lies. We decided to find a day to confront him because she's so torn by his feelings and lies. We wanted to leave on civil terms as adults as we have mutual friends. Plan went into action and I met up at her place. He was to meet her for coffee when we both approached his car. He said he planned for us two to talk and felt blindsided by us wanting to approach. If she and I had talked, what was there left for him to be there? We wanted the truth from him where he couldn't deny anything else. Instead, he got highly emotional and began shutting down due to stress. He had told me that I had done nothing wrong. I was perfect. A great girl, he just couldn't let go of his first love. And the other girl, his first love, had hurt him so badly before. Once she showed him that she wanted him back and changed, he was stuck between the two. He couldn't decide who he loved more and make a decision. Those two got into an altercation, and he used something she confided in him against her as an ugly fight. She shut down and walked away. I couldn't find her to see if she was okay. He ended up offering me a ride home and apologizing for hurting me so bad. He said his emotions are all running, but it hasn't sunk in yet, but he wanted me back. I hesitated, thinking the only obstacle was her and I had never done anything to break his trust. So badly I wanted to be the girl who got away, but also had our real shot at love. He asked if I wanted to stay the night, but I didn't think it was a good idea. We ended up making out in his car in front of my door and he persuaded me to go over. After spending the night, he felt hurt by the way things went down between him and the other girl, which is understandable. He said that all three of us should meet again to talk. I messaged her and she wanted none of it. I told her I was confused, and as she said if I wanted to pursue him to go for it. I came to the conclusion that nothing can work if he still had feelings for her and decided to leave his house. He ran after me to try to stop me and talk. I stayed one more night, and she later tells me that he was calling, begging for her back when I was at his house. I was furious. I called him to say, "Have you not learned anything?" He told me he loved me, but wasn't in love with me anymore. It was her that he wanted. I was so mad her couldn't tell me this sooner, but relieved. He ended up coming by to drop something off, and we talked, reminisced, and left on good terms. I wished him good luck with her. She ended up trying to hear him out. They're still trying to work out if they can try it, but I think she'll take him back. Our baggage-filled garbage ex played two girls for a year and a half because he could not decide who he loved more and kept lying to hide his trail. Two forgiving girls who loved him deeply could not see how stupid this shit was and let him go. Girls ended up teaming up to leave him, only for the girls to fall for his charm again. He ended up choosing one girl. I'm the one didn't get chosen, but I feel like I came out of this better. He begged for her back, and she's willing to listen for the fifth time and determine whether or not to take back the cheater. Story 12. I discovered the affair when I came home early to tell her about my diagnosis. Throwaway account for all of the obvious reasons. TDOI. Terminal illness, so caught in action. I guess the only reason I'm coming here is because in my situation, course of action does not allow me to fully disclose to those close to me. On the 1st of Dick, I got the news I was dreading. All of the tests have confirmed the diagnosis. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, so basically this will be my last holiday season. I am okay with what is going to come. I am at peace with that. I have had a life well lived. All of my loved ones will be taken care of. I am naturally a private person, so my duty, Jane, is unaware of my tests. I did not want to worry her until I had answers. So I head home early to have the talk. This is not something I want to do over the phone or text. Well, as you can guess, since I am here, my life changed more than once that afternoon. When I arrived at the house, I noticed the car of one of my business partners in the drive. There was no mistaking it. Flashy, expensive, with a personalized license tag. To say this is out of the ordinary is an understatement. I pull up our home camera system on my phone and notice it is in privacy mode, not recording. So, I let it be and drove off to my farm property.